Well, if you guys are big fans of the Japanese wrestling scene or just particularly just the Yoshi wrestling scene, you guys are always on the right channel. So today we're going to be reviewing two. The first one is going to be ChocoPro with their latest show number 503. Now this particular show happened on the of course 11th of February, but it was not broadcast 10 days later on the 21st. Of course, since Japan is 1 day ahead of us, so what the hell? Let's do it. And then, of course, we move on with Stardom with their latest show in Otsu with more preliminary matches and other fun matches that took place. So we'll see how things will go. And then, of course, as always, we'll wrap up our episode as usual with some news updates, giving you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information is unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Nike Sayaka watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough with the jibber jabbers. Let's get started. So let's begin with ChocoPro. Okay, ChocoPro number 503. Now this is their much recent show. It didn't happen until of course the 11th of February, but was not broadcast or uploaded onto their YouTube channel until the 21st, which of course they're a day before us. So right now is the 20th of February, so you can get the idea. By the time evening is happening in the US, it happens of course it's uploaded during the day in Japan, which is already Sunday. I mean Saturday actually. But yes, you get the picture. But anyway, opening up the show, we had Emi Sakura greeting the fans, giving the info of the entire matches that were taking place. However, Emi Sakura participated in another exhibition match, but not just in any ordinary. It's a tag team exhibition. If you guys remember recently, they introduced two new girls to our trainees into ChocoPro. The first one we already introduced, Rin, and then later of course Chiyo. But however, the team up is different. For this one, Rin teams up with of course Kaho Hiromi, and Chiyu teams up with Emi Sakura, which is a very interesting combination because, as you know, Emi Sakura does not tolerate Kaho that much because of her childish ways. But it didn't matter. But we ask ourselves how this match was going to go. But one thing I did like is how I was impressed with Rin, who gave the chance for Kaho to pick up the win onto Chiyu while subduing, of course, Emi Sakura in order to allow Kaho to pick up the win. And I thought it was a pretty impressive, and like she's being a team player and she's learning some things. But of course, at the end, Emi Sakura doesn't tolerate losing to, especially those who are the cause of the loss, that sort of thing. Now, our next match, we have our official match, of course. We have Balinaki teaming up with Chris Brooks once again. They take on Hagane Shino and, of course, Gene Bravo. If you guys remember, he's a wrestler based out of Chile. And, of course, he's been making his presence known recently since, of course, the 500 started here in ChocoPro. But it was a pretty good match. But the one thing that was interesting is that, as you all know, Chris Brooks hates Mei Suruga, so he decided to do the little Mei Suruga pose. If you guys ever seen her, and of course Mei Suruga does not like it. She hates it. Even Balinaki was getting involved too, which of course probably for Mei Suruga would say, "Hey, I thought we were best bros." I mean, they are, but Balin tolerates her attitude sometimes, so that's how it is. But towards the end, it was in fact Chris Brooks that picked up the win onto, of course, onto Bravo when he applied his submission move, and just like that, it was completely over. Now, our next match, we have a six-person tag match. We have Soy, Irikani, and Chonchiru taking on uh, Sayaka, Emi Sakura, and Ren Yamashita. Now, you can consider this match a preliminary because if you guys remember in the last big show of Choco Pro that they did in Itabashi, Chonchiru wanted to have another opportunity of the Super Asia Championship that Rina Yamashita has. So you can say that this is a match where, okay, who's going to build up the momentum before we get there, and that's one of those things as well. Now, of course, I'm sure that Rina Yamashita cannot tolerate to lose against someone who issued the challenge against her, but it was Chonchiru who picked up the win when he applied a crucifix onto Sayaka, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, the momentum goes to Chonchiru. And I'm sure Rina has to think of something fast before we head to the big show later on this month. So we'll see what happens. Now, our main event, we have Hiroya Wada teaming up with Sayaka Obihiro, or as we call her, Obi. Uh, they take on one half of the Asian Dream Tag Team Champions Chi, and of course Mei Suruga, who is the current Deadlock Pro Wrestling Women's World Champion. So obviously there's a lot of things that are interesting. As you know, Chi and Mei have often been rivals, but now they're teaming up. But I wasn't too sure exactly where this is going to go. But what surprised me, no one expected it, and I'm sure no one did, was Hiroyi finally got her big moment. She pinned Chi Koishikawa, one half of the tag team champions. And that is a big deal. And she actually pulled it off. But does this mean that Hiroyi would definitely want to have a shot of the tag team belts? I'm sure she would. But the real question is who will be teaming up with her. But she needs to find someone strong enough because we know that Chi and Hagen Ishino are no slouches whatsoever. But we'll see what happens. Now, for our Jonkin tournament, of course, well, I wasn't entirely sure, but apparently this one ended with Soy picking up the win, but Balanaki got the the loss, the runner up, because he did the, scissors while Soy did rock. So you know how that is. Scissor rock breaks scissors. So that's what happens. So it was a good show. I'm sure we will see more of Rin and Chiyu, seeing their progress, how they go. I don't know how many more exhibition matches they'll be doing. Hopefully they get cooler wrestling gear. But the one thing I'm a bit worried is Rin because she wears glasses. I'm sure they're going to figure something out for her. But we'll see. Uh, but I think that's it. Let's move on to our last review, and of course that is Stardom. Our last review, Stardom and Otsu, and this is their much recent show. Now, it opened up with tag team action. Fuwa-chan teams up with Kanaya. Now, of course, as you all know, Ane Kanaya and Fuwa-chan are not affiliated with any factions or units, as they say. But there are some those who strongly believe that Kanaya could end up with the Cosmic Angels. But I like this. I did like how Fuwa-chan and Ane Kanaya really presented themselves like they're on the same page. But they're facing a team that, as you know, have been very impressive. We have Kikyo Furuzawa and Akira Kurigani. Obviously, we know that Furuzawa does have some great technical aspect, and they're those because of her partnership with Maki Ito has been very making headways. And as for Kurigani, well, she was, of course, the savior of Mi Vida Loca in that 5-on-4 match. And she's been very impressive, and now she's aiming for the future belt. But the real question is how this was going to go. I wasn't too sure, but it was Kurigani with the Northern Light suplex onto Kanaya, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was done. Now, our next match, I like to say this is one of the most funnest matches ever. Saki Kashima versus Sayori Anu. Now, as you all know, Kashima has announced that like a month ago that April will be her final time to be a wrestler, that she'll retire. But however, I'm sure there's many people that want to have matches with her, and Sayori Anu is one of them. Now, the one thing that was funny is the moment that they both hug it out when the bell rung, and well, Saudi Ano should have known better that Kishima was going to play something not dirty, but it's who she is. She put her in a Kishikase like that. And of course she was shocked, like, what the hell just happened? So she asked for a restart, which it did. It took a little longer, but however, there was a moment where there were like a polar bear or what was outside the ring and they were walking with it. But while that was happening, the referee was counting, and they got back in the ring. And once again, the Kishikase was in play again by Kashima, just like that. So Sonny Ano cannot believe she lost that way. Now, our next match, well, as you know, that EXV are no longer around. Rian teams up once again with Hanako. They take on Mi Vida Loca, consistent of Izuki Aoki and Rina Yamashita. Now, obviously, we know that Hanako is very impressive. She has shown a lot of promising, not to mention she trained submission techniques from Shinsuke Nakamura. But however, the thing is, she hasn't reached her full potential just yet, like Aoki and Yamashita. But however, it was Yamashita that took out Rian with a big lariat, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, adios. Now, our next match, we have the Cosmic Angels, consistent of Sayaka Kurara, Aya Sakura, and Yuna Mizumori. If you guys notice, all three of them are champions. Kurara and Sakura are the current New Blood Tag Team champions, while Yuna Mizumori is the current, of course, High Speed champion. But they take on God's Eye, consistent of Tomoka Inaba, Amisuri, and Shuri. So obviously there were some great moments, and not to mention, when Aya Sakura first came around, she had teamed up with Shuri in the past, and that throws in a little bit. But however, of course, Sakura took her upon herself to take on someone who's a bit more stronger than her, and that is, of course, Amisuri. But unfortunately, Amisuri put her through a Blue Thunder Bomb, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, over. It was done. Next up, we have an interesting combination of team up. We have Neo Genesis members, Mei Sita and Azumi. They team up with the ladies from CML India Sioxi and Tabitha. They take on Waka Tsukiyama, Maki Ito, Azuki, and Maika. Now, of course, nobody in team number 2 likes Maki Ito since she first arrived. Even Maika doesn't like her because last time she blamed her for the loss of they had. But however, of course, she tried to play her usual tricks, but it did not work. But unfortunately, Waka ended up losing to Azumi when she applied the Azumi Sushi, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was done. Then, if you guys ever saw this, Maki Ito tried to walk out with Maika, Azuki, and Waka, but they're like, hell no, this is your fault that we lost. That sort of thing. So, that's how things ended for them. Now, our next match, we have Star members teaming up with God's Eye. We have Yuta Him, Momokogo, and Hanan. They team up with God's Eye's Ranehigami, Lady C, and Hina. So, as you all know, Hina and Hanan are teaming up together again. As you all know, they're both sisters. But of course, Hina's twin sisters in the opposite side, who's also Hanan's little sister too. They take on Hate, consisting of Azusa Inaba, Fukigen Death, Rina, Raka, Natsuko Tora, and Konami. Now, keep in mind, this is a preliminary match between Konami and Hina. Hina issued a challenge for the white belt, and that's always been the case. But of course, when it comes to Hate, we know their usual MO. They like to play dirty tactics, distract referees, use weapons, fight outside the ring to soften their wrestler ups to ensure they find a way to win. But however, that wasn't the case because Fukigen Death was the one who suffered the loss by Hina with the modified jackhammer. And just like that, one, two, three, death! Yep, it's over. Now, our main event is a tag team match. We have Neo Genesis, Starlight Kid, and Miyu Amasaki taking on Saori Natsu, of course, which is Saori Anu and Natsupoi. As you all know, they're a tag team as well. But however, this is a bit of a interesting storyline where Saori Anu and Amasaki are doing like a bit of a rivalry over the city of like certain areas of their town. Like as you all know, Amasaki's from Kyoto and Saori Anu is from Shiga. And they're kind of doing this whole, rivalry of towns or whatever, but it's really interesting. And that's always been the case. They've been going back and forth with this. But however, I wasn't but of course it's just an interesting thing to see between them. But of course, they had to face Starlight Kid, who, as you know, she already faced both Saudiano and Atsupoi on separate occasions. But it was Saudiano who picked up the win with the German suplex on Amasaki, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Then we did see a post-match promo with Saudi Anu. Don't know what she said, but that's how things ended. So it was a fun show. I enjoyed it. But we'll see how things go when they go to Osaka. But as of right now, let's move on with our last thing, of course, is news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news update. So let's begin with upcoming events. We have two updates on that. As you know, GCW will be making their way to Hartford, Connecticut uh, on the 29th of February for Baller Break-In. They announced that the GCW tag team belts will be on the line. YDNP, which is, of course, Jordan Oliver and Alec Price, will defend them against Savage Gnomes. I don't know who those guys are. If anybody does tell me who they are, leave a comment down below. And then, of course, we have the collaboration between Ring of Honor and Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. As you know, we have the Global Wars Canada taking place on the 27th. Now they announced, of course, the current Ring of Honor Women's World Champion will be participating. So that's going to be awesome to see. So that's pretty much it for our upcoming events. Now, here are some for the developments. Ulka Sasaki, if you all know, he's a former MMA fighter who's been wrestling with Noah for a couple years, has announced on his personal vlog that he'll be going on excursion to Florida for NXT. Now, it's very common recently, as you all know, Yoshiki Inamura, who actually was in NXT, did his excursion there. So I'm going to presume that's what Sasaki will be doing there too. So I'm happy for him. Now, many of you know this about Miranda Alize. Well, I didn't know this part, but they're saying that both she and Tegan Knox are in a relationship. But yes. But what was later revealed, I'm not sure if this is 100% true, but I just caught on to it, saying that Miranda Alize walked out from the WWE tryouts. The reason is because they were doing a 3-minute drill instead of having a 20-minute drill. Now, I don't know exactly how these things with the tryouts work. If anybody has info on the tryouts, on how they do, what their drills are supposed to be, how long they're supposed to last, leave a comment down below so I can understand a little bit. But I'm not 100% sure exactly if that's true. I'm waiting for, of course, the Fightful Select or anybody with legit answers if they can tell me if this is true or not. Because, as you all know, Miranda Alize and Tegan Knox, as you know, burned their bridge with AEW recently because people they were asking for a much longer time, but they're not the bigger stars yet, and they were not even signed, and that was one of the main reasons. But we'll see. Now, there's been reports coming about Finlay. I mean David Finlay, of course. As you know, he's officially a free agent, but he will have a match later on this month with New Japan at New Beginning USA. But according to what the Fightful discovered, WWE sources did say they have been in contact with, of course, David Finlay, but they have not, of course, how do I say, factored him in the creative plans. We don't know exactly what that means, but I would guess that they haven't, how do I say, thought exactly how they're going to introduce them. That's one of the things that has not been revealed. So yes. Now, Fightful Select also reports about Charli Evans. Some AEW sources saying that they're confirmed that Charli Evans is not with AEW. Now, I'm going to presume, because of hearing this coming from them, that some people might have presumed, because of course, as you all know, AEW and Ring of Honor were in Australia for, of course, Grand Slam, and we just recently reviewed, of course, Charli Evans was at Ring of Honor taking on Mina Shirakawa. I'm not sure if many, of course, Australian people might have assumed that she was with AEW. I mean, I understand they think that way, but they gotta understand, AEW don't just sign anybody, but they do bring in people for opportunities, just to test them out. That's just like to test out the waters, that sort of thing. But they have confirmed that she is not, and I don't know who said that, but whoever said that, they better get their facts straight on this one. Now, Britt Baker, as you know, some more headlines are coming in. Apparently, some people are wondering about her, but what we're hearing is that she's not retired from pro wrestling. In case anybody knows, she doesn't work in dental anymore. But according to what they're saying about her, is that um, she is in fact she has scary wrestling fans that want to kill her. I don't know if that's true or not, but of course, we have been seeing recently women who've been stalked or whatever. I mean, look what happened to what's her name, to Daria Ray, or as we know her as Sonya Deville, with that whole situation a couple years ago. And then the whole thing with Roxanne Perez, and now this. So it's understandable that it's very difficult. But we'll see what happens. If there's any more information about Britt Baker about this, I'll let you guys know as soon as possible. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. So let's call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as many of you may not have known already, I did mention this a while ago, well, a couple of days ago or so, that I'll be going to do another DWZ at the wrestling events. And this time I'll be attending AEW Collision. This is something that I've been wanting to do ever since because, as you all know, I did attend a Dynamite, and they had Rampage and all that, but I never attended any that had AEW Collision. That's one of the things that I've been waiting for quite a while. But however, I wasn't too sure if I was going to go due to my brother, who I always go with. But now we're going, and the best part is my mother's coming with us. Many of you know this. My mom has become a wrestling fan thanks to my brother. And of course, my brother and my mother went to Survivor Series here in San Diego at Petco Park. If I have any subscribers, it might have asked me. But somebody probably asked me why they didn't go. Easy, guys. When it comes to a big event, I like to hear the commentators. I mean, I don't mind doing like shows like Raw or SmackDown, attending it, or AW's Collision or Dynamite. But if it's a bigger event, I'd rather just listen to the commentators, what they say to analyze the whole thing. So, but if I probably will try to consider it going one day, a bigger pay per view. But that's up to me, of course, if I'm up to it. But of course, No new episode coming up, but the DWZ wrestling events, I will be working on that as soon as possible. Once everything's done, it's going to you guys. So we'll leave things like that. So until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye, mwah, and have a nice day. Bang.